Salut! Welcome back to FrenchArena. In today's fantastic lesson, we are going to take a look at one of the most important tenses, or important tenses to me, and this is the l'imperfect, the imperfect tense. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! And so today we are focusing on the imperfect tense l'imparfait, which is a key aspect of storytelling in the French language. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is the imperfect tense? Well, simply put, it's a past tense that is used to describe ongoing or habitual actions in the past. So for example, for the imperfect tense, I could say, Hier, il faisait beau et je me promenais dans le parc. That is an example of an imperfect tense. And so in today's fantastic lesson, I am going to take it a step further by conjugating 50 verbs into the imperfect tense. Now, if you had watched my previous lesson where I conjugated 50 ER verbs in the present tense, and also the same 50 ER verbs in le passé composé, well, you're in luck today. In today's lesson, we're going to conjugate the same 50 verbs. Yes, I know. Repetition is key when you're learning a language. We're going to conjugate the same 50 verbs in the imperfect tense, l'imparfait. If you enjoy the previous lessons, I'm sure you're going to love this one. If you're yet to watch them, I'd advise, if you're a beginner, to just pause this video and you can watch the ER verbs in present tense, just so you understand that tense better, and then probably move on to the passé composé before coming to this tense. Wait, there is more. For today's fantastic lesson, I have created the perfect ebook for you, which would help you master l'imperfait better. This ebook is filled with explanations, examples, and the icing on the cake, a quiz at the end. You may be asking, oh wow, Sumo, how do I get this? It's simple. All you need to do is put in your name and email address in the link in the description box below, and today's lesson gets sent directly to your inbox. If you're a visual learner where you want to listen to what I'm saying and you also want to read, you can pause this video right now, input your details in the description box below, have it sent to you, and read as I teach. With that being said, let us get started with today's lesson. And I'm first going to teach you how to conjugate an ER verb into the imperfect tense before we dive into conjugating those 50 ER verbs. By now, you already know that the ER verbs are quite a lot in the French language, and they follow the same pattern when being conjugated. So whether you're conjugating the present tense, in the past tense, or in today's fantastic lesson, the imperfect tense, they always follow the same conjugations, which is very good because you're able to remember immediately you see it, you know the pattern to follow, and it's easy for you to conjugate these verbs forever. For regular ER verbs like parler, manger, for instance, parler means to talk, manger means to eat, you take the present tense stem, which is parle, P-A-R-L, and you add specific endings to it. And so beside me, you can see the endings that you add to each of the subject pronouns, okay? So for instance, if I wanted to say I speak in imperfect tense, it would be je parlais, tu parlais, il ou elle parlait, nous parlions, vous parliez, il ou elle parlait. And so that is how we conjugate an ER verb in the imperfect tense in present tense, d'accord? So we're going to take a look at the other 50 ER verbs that I talked about. Now, once you're done with today's lesson, wait till the end because I also have a quiz for you. Yes, I have a quiz in the book, which is completely different from the quiz you're going to practice with today's lesson. With the quiz at the end, you can put your knowledge test and see just how well you understand today's lesson and how many you got. With that being said, let us get started with today's lesson by conjugating the very first verb. Number one, aider, and this means to help. Let us conjugate it in the imperfect tense together. J'aidais, tu aidais, il ou elle aidait, nous aidions, vous aidiez, ils ou elles aidaient. Number two, aimer, which means to like or to love. Let's conjugate it together. J'aimais, tu aimais, il ou elle aimait, nous aimions, vous aimiez, ils ou elles aimaient. Number three, apporter, and this means to bring. Let's conjugate it together. J'apportais, tu apportais, il ou elle apportait, nous apportions, vous apportiez, ils ou elles apportaient. Number four, arrêter, and this means to stop. Let's conjugate it in the imperfect tense together. J'arrêtais, tu arrêtais, il ou elle arrêtait, nous arrêtions, vous arrêtiez, ils ou elles arrêtaient. Number 5, arriver. And this means to arrive. Let us conjugate it in the l'imperfect together. J'arrivais, tu arrivais, il ou elle arrivait, nous arrivions, vous arriviez, ils ou elles arrivaient. Number 6, changer, and this means to change. Let's conjugate it together. Je changeais, tu changeais, il ou elle changeait, nous changions, vous changiez, il ou elle changeait. The next one, chanter, which means to sing. Let's conjugate it together. Je chantais, tu chantais, il ou elle chantait, nous chantions, vous chantiez, il ou elle chantait. The next one, chercher, which means to look for. Let's conjugate it. Je cherchais, tu cherchais, il ou elle cherchait, nous cherchions, vous cherchiez, il ou elle cherchait. The next one, continuer, and this means to continue. Let's conjugate it. Je continuais, tu continuais, il ou elle continuait, nous continuons, vous continuez, il ou elle continuait. The next one, coucher, and this means to put to bed. Let's conjugate. Je couchais, tu couchais, il ou elle couchait, nous couchions, vous couchez, il ou elle couchait. It sounds like cushion, right? So, cushion. No, does it? Cushion, coucher. Let me know in the comment section. Let's look at the next one. Number 11, coûter, and this means to cost. Let's conjugate. Je coûtais, tu coûtais, il ou elle coûtait, nous coûtions, vous coûtiez, il ou elle coûtait. Number 12, décider, and this means to decide. Let's conjugate. Je décidais, tu décidais, il ou elle décidait, nous décidions, vous décidiez, il ou elle décidait. The next one, danser. This means to dance. Let's conjugate. Je dansais, tu dansais, il ou elle dansait, nous dansions, vous dansiez, il ou elle dansait. The next one, demander, and this means to ask or to ask for. Let's conjugate. Je demandais, tu demandais, il ou elle demandait, nous demandions, vous demandiez, il ou elle demandait. It's pretty easy, right? I mean, you can see everything just has the except when we get to the ion, ie. But it's pretty easy. That's why I'm saying that once you can conjugate the ER verbs in the present tense and le passé composé, the imperfect tense becomes much more easier. Let's take a look at the next one. The next one, dépêcher, and this means to hurry. Let's conjugate. Je dépêchais, tu dépêchais, il ou elle dépêchait, nous dépêchions, vous dépêchiez, il ou elle dépêchait. The next one, dépenser, and this means to spend. You spend money most times. Let's conjugate. Je dépensais, tu dépensais, il ou elle dépensait, nous dépensions, vous dépensiez, il ou elle dépensait. The next one, détester, to hate. Let's conjugate. Je détestais, tu détestais, il ou elle détestait, nous détestions, vous détestiez, il ou elle détestait. The next one, dîner, and this means to eat dinner. Let's conjugate. Je dînais, tu dînais, il ou elle dînait, nous dînions, vous dîniez, il ou elle dînait. The next one, écouter, and this means to listen to. Exactly what you're doing. You're listening to me. Let's conjugate. J'écoutais, tu écoutais, il ou elle écoutait, nous écoutions, vous écoutiez, ils ou elles écoutaient. The next one, espérer, and this means to hope. Let's conjugate. J'espérais, tu espérais, il ou elle espérait, nous espérions, vous espériez, ils ou elles espéraient. The next one, enseigner, and this means to teach. Let's conjugate. J'enseignais. Tu enseignais. Il, elle enseignaient. Nous enseignions. Vous enseignez. Ils, elles enseignaient. The next one, entrer, which means to enter. Let's conjugate. J'entrais. Tu entrais. Il ou elle entrait. Nous entrions. Vous entrez. Ils ou elles entraient. Number 23. Fermer, which means to close. Let's conjugate. Je fermais. Tu fermais. Il ou elle fermait. Nous fermions. Vous fermiez. Il ou elle fermait. The next one, gagner, and this means to win. And you are definitely winning already by learning these imperfect tenses. Let's conjugate it together. Je gagnais. Tu gagnais. Il ou elle gagnait. Nous gagnions. Vous gagniez. Il ou elle gagnait. The next one, goûter, and this means to taste. Let us conjugate it in the imperfect tense together. Je goûtais. Tu goûtais. Il ou elle goûtait. Nous goûtions. Vous goûtiez. Il ou elle goûtait. How are you finding today's fantastic lesson? Can you believe you have learned how to conjugate 25 ER verbs to the imperfect tense? Do not forget, if you would love today's lesson, all you need to do is put your name and email address in the description box below, and today's lesson gets sent directly to your inbox. This fantastic ebook is filled with detailed explanations, examples, and a bonus quiz for you to test your knowledge on everything you have learned. It's the perfect way to reinforce your understanding and boost your confidence in the French language. So if you're ready to take your French skills to the next level, and I'm sure you are, do not forget, all you need to do is input your name and email address in the link below, and today's lesson gets sent directly to your inbox. Let us take a look at number 26. Number 26, inviter, and this means to invite. Let's conjugate. J'invitais. Tu invitais. Il ou elle invitait. Nous invitions. Vous invitiez. Ils ou elles invitaient. Number 27, jouer, and this means to play. Let's conjugate. Je jouais. Tu jouais. Il ou elle jouait. Nous jouions. Vous jouiez. Il ou elle jouait. The next one, laver, and this means to wash. Let's conjugate. Je lavais. Tu lavais. Il ou elle lavait. Nous lavions. Vous laviez. Il ou elle lavait. The next one, lever. And please, it's different from laver. Do not make that mistake, because I know sometimes my students make the mistake, but it's not the same, okay? This means to rise. Let's conjugate. Je levais. Tu levais. Il ou elle levait. Nous levions. Vous leviez. Il ou elle levait. The next one, monter, and this means to climb. Let's conjugate. Je montais. Tu montais. Il ou elle montait. Nous montions. Vous montiez. Il ou elle montait. The next one, oublier, and this means to forget. Let's conjugate. J'oubliais. Tu oubliais. Il ou elle oubliait. Nous oublions. Vous oubliez. Il ou elles oubliaient. And the next one, parler, to talk or to speak. We already conjugated this at the beginning, right? But I'm still going to put this here. So what you can do is you can repeat after me. Je parlais. Tu parlais. Il ou elle parlait. Nous parlions. Vous parliez. Il ou elle parlait. You remember it, right? Perfect. Let's look at the next one. The next one, passer, to pass. Let's conjugate. Je passais. Tu passais. Il ou elle passait. Nous passions. Vous passiez. Il ou elle passait. The next one, penser, and this means to think. Let's conjugate. Je pensais. Tu pensais. Il ou elle pensait. Nous pensions. Vous pensiez. Il ou elle pensait. Please take note, because I literally just heard this last week where someone said nous pension. It's not nous pension. Pension is the English language for think what you have after you work for a while. Anyways, it's not pension, it's nous pensions. please, please, please take note of this. The next one, porter, and this means to wear. Let's conjugate. Je portais, tu portais, il ou elle portait, nous portions, vous portiez, il ou elle portait. The next one, préparer, and this means to prepare. Let's conjugate. Je préparais, tu préparais, il ou elle préparait, nous préparions, vous préparez, il ou elle préparait. The next one, quitter, and this means to leave. Let's conjugate. Je quittais, tu quittais, il ou elle quittait, nous quittions, vous quittiez, il ou elle quittait. The next one, raconter, and this means to tell. Let's conjugate. Je racontais, tu racontais, il ou elle racontait, nous racontions, vous racontiez, il ou elle racontait. The next one, regarder, and this means to watch or to look at. Let's conjugate. Je regardais, tu regardais, il ou elle regardait, nous regardions, vous regardiez, il ou elle regardait. Number 40, rester, and this means to stay. Let's conjugate it together in the imperfect tense. Je restais, tu restais, il ou elle restait, nous restions, vous restiez, il ou elle restait. The next one, retourner, and this means to return. Let's conjugate. Je retournais, tu retournais, il ou elle retournait, nous retournions, vous retourniez, il ou elle retournait. The next one, rêver, and this means to dream. Let's conjugate. Je rêvais, tu rêvais, il ou elle rêvait, nous rêvions, vous rêviez, il ou elle rêvait. The next one, sembler, and this means to sing. Let's conjugate. Je semblais, tu semblais, il ou elle semblait, nous semblions, vous sembliez, il ou elle semblait. The next one, skier, and this means to ski. Let's conjugate it together in the imperfect tense. Je skiais, tu skiais, il ou elle skiait, nous skions, vous skiez, il ou elle skiait. The next one, terminer, and this means to finish or end. Let's conjugate. Je terminais, tu terminais, il ou elle terminait, nous terminions, vous terminiez, il ou elle terminait. The next one, travailler, and this means to work. Let's conjugate. Je travaillais, tu travaillais, il ou elle travaillait, nous travaillons, vous travaillez, il ou elle travaillait. The next one, trouver, and this means to find. Let's conjugate. Je trouvais, tu trouvais, il ou elle trouvait, nous trouvions, vous trouviez, il ou elle trouvait. The next one, visiter, and this means to visit a place. Let's conjugate. Je visitais, tu visitais, il ou elle visitait, nous visitions, vous visitiez, il ou elle visitait. The next one, voyager, and this means to travel. Let's conjugate. Je voyageais, tu voyageais, il ou elle voyageait, nous voyagions, vous voyagiez, il ou elle voyageait. Et numéro 50, voler, and this means to fly or to steal. Let's conjugate. Je volais, tu volais, il ou elle volait, nous volions, vous voliez, il ou elle volait. Voila, there you have it. We have conjugated 50 ER verbs to the imperfect tense. How did you find today's lesson? Before you go, let's quickly do the quiz to test your understanding of today's lesson to be sure you never forget anything you learned. Let's go. In today's quiz, you're going to fill in the gap with the correct form of the verb in the l'imperfect tense. I'm going to give you a question and I'm going to give you 4 options. You're going to pick the correct imperfect tense. At the end of the quiz, let me know in the comment section below how many you got. I would love to read from you. Let's get started. 1. Chaque soir, je la porte avant de me coucher. So which is it? A, B, C, or D? Correct. It is D. Fermé. 2. Quand nous étions enfants, nous, dans la maison, sont frappés. Is it A, B, C, or D? Correct. It is B. Entrions. Nous entrions. 3. Pendant les vacances, mes parents, beaucoup d'argent en souvenirs. Is it A, B, C, or D? Correct. It is C. Dépenser. 4. Combien? Ce sac à main quand il l'a acheté? Is it A, B, C, or D? Correct. It is D. Coûtait. 5. Autrefois, il te jure que ses rêves deviendraient réalité. Is it A, B, C, or D? Perfect. It is C. Espérer. And we have come to the end of today's fantastic lesson, if I do say so myself. If you're yet to watch the lessons on conjugating these same ER verbs in the present tense and the past tense, I have put the link in the description box below. All you need to do is click on that link and you can watch those 2 lessons and also get the free ebooks from those lessons. Like I said, you can also go ahead and download today's lesson. It's completely free. You're paying for absolutely nothing. It's yours forever. It's the perfect way to reinforce your understanding of the imperfect tense and, most importantly, boost your confidence in the French language. And like I said, there's also a bonus quiz for you to test what you have learned in today's lesson. And so if perhaps you're struggling with understanding when to use the imperfect tense and when to use le passé composé, I have created the perfect lesson for you. Click this link below to watch the next video on how I break down when to use the imperfect tense, what exactly it means, and when to use le passé composé and what exactly it means. I can't wait to see you in the next lesson. Please do not forget to subscribe, like this video if you truly enjoyed it and learned a lot, and share with anyone else who would love to learn more about the imperfect tense and how to conjugate these ER verbs and master them forever. I will see you in the next lesson. Bonne journée!